train? Because if you didn't, it's not good. Oh, okay. Okay. Do we have a loaded discussion tonight? Or is our discussion loaded? Because I don't know which one it is. Because I think I might have talked about this before, but it's one of those things you can make 35 billion videos for because there's never a clear answer. So you could just pump out infinite numbers of videos and discussions on said topic. And that is the rebellion of the devil against God. I've been talking about the devil a lot lately and how there could be a possibility of Osiris being either him or a representation of him or one of his minions, right? So it's a really complex subject, and it's always bothered me in church in particular. Growing up, I would ask this question often, especially in my later youth, as to the question I'll get into when hopefully a few more people show up, but I'm not going to say the question yet. But I think you already have an idea of what the question is. I want to explain one thing though, and that has to do with the relationship of, eternity, basically, and my recent community post and what I mean by like the true definition of timelessness. And I was just like trying to figure out ways to like explain it like to where it makes sense. And it's a thing that's just so incredibly hard to explain because we're living in such a linear reality where one event precedes the other, and you step one foot and it goes forward, right? And it goes forward, and so on and so forth. And you say one word and another word comes out. Imagine in timelessness that all those steps you take all at once. But even more than that, every conceivable variation of that step all at once. It's a film reel, but I don't want to use just the film reel analogy. I want to talk about it like a book, actually. I want to talk about it like a book, and just want to wait till the 5-minute mark, though. See if anyone shows up. There's one mysterious person here. Oh, it's Miss DiCello Piano. Hi, how you doing? The mysterious person has been solved. How lovely. I was told to go outside last time, so that's what I'm doing. I'm outside. You're totally first. Congratulations. That's lovely. That is absolutely lovely. So how are you doing? Anything new with you? Anything good you might want to share on here? And let me know if this connection is decent, since I'm outside like I was told I should be. And apparently it's better here. So let me know how it is. So yeah, we're going to talk about the rebellion today. We're going to talk about the heavenly rebellion against God by the devil. That's our topic today. When it hits the 5-minute mark, I'm going to tell you what I think of the rebellion. Almost there. Counting. I'm looking to start a podcast soon. Paranormal stuff, glitches, dream. Ooh, I'm going to be your first listener. Okay? I'm going to be your first listener. I'm telling you that. I'm all over that. Just please send me a link or something when you're ready to do it. That sounds really cool. Thank you. Very cool. And on various platforms, I assume, because I'm really only on YouTube, even though everybody's like, people who do podcasts, they're like everywhere, right? They're like on Apple, and then they're on Spotify, and then they're on some weird websites like I never heard about, and all this stuff. And I'm just sitting here with a good old YouTube and nothing else. Yeah, so I was going to talk about the rebellion. And my take on the rebellion is that there were countless rebellions, if you can call them that. And there wasn't just one. It's hard to say, but what we're actually told about, like in the historical record or the origins of the story itself, from our perspective, I think is related more so to some sort of alien battle, like or some sort of hold on, there's a helicopter. That original story is what I'm trying to say is connected to some ET stuff, in my opinion, rather than necessarily God as in God, like Almighty. I'm talking about the original Genesis story, and the very few times the devil is even mentioned in the Bible, like very, very few times, like in the book of Job and a few other places. And keep in mind, in the book of Job, he was partners with God, okay? They were not enemies whatsoever. Okay, I've read that book like 3 times. They were cooperating together, okay? They were not enemies. They were testing this poor guy who was trying to live his life, and then they took everything from him. And it seemed like a battle of the egos. Who is he going to follow, kind of a thing, It was a really strange story, but a really interesting and insightful story that you could learn a lot from, and possibly the oldest one in the Bible as well. So the oldest text. And it's a really interesting story, but that's my point, though, is that the dark character was not an enemy of God in that story. And that's one of the few places he's ever mentioned. So, okay, you were saying, I'm working on the audio of the first podcast. I'm not there yet. I want it perfect. So I'll find you when it's ready. If you email me or something, hey, Mackenzie? Yeah, definitely. I'll, you know what? I'll just put my email in the community post. I don't care if the public knows. Like, some people are all weird about that. I just don't care. Like, go ahead, know my email, whatever. So I'll just put that there pretty soon. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. So, yeah. But the common story of Satan's rebellion is that basically, I mean, from what the church has told me my entire life, not necessarily from what scripture actually says, what I was told is that Satan wanted to become like God, right? That's what you probably heard many times. Which implies what? That he wanted to have all that power as God does, or that he wanted to create like God. Because if it's to create, that wouldn't make sense to me to rebel. Because we all are creators, co-creating together. So that form of rebellion wouldn't make any sense to me. Because I'm sure if this was like an angelic, if this was a real being, and I do think it was and is, he was probably already creating or helping to basically bring about creation and recreation, because everything in the universe in creation is involved in creating. Okay, not God is that process, right? God is creation itself. So if Satan wanted to create his own stuff, that's just another being creating its own stuff. So let's say, I don't know, there was a creative process of one particular universe, and Satan looks at it and he's like, this is so boring, man. Like, you just got these animals sitting around sleeping all day. They're so lame. Like we need some action over here, right? And so he's like, why don't I create like gladiators and biker bars and motorcycles? And I'm being silly, okay? But I'm just like trying to figure this out, okay? And then we have the conundrum of that stuff always existing, okay? And it has, okay? It has always existed. I'm convinced of it beyond a doubt. So I put mine in the text above one. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, the cello piano. And Mackenzie, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So, okay, what was I talking about? Okay, yeah. So, okay, like I always go back to, the wheel of time and my near-death experience, because that's my obvious reference point to go to. Like, what else am I going to look at really than what I've seen with my own eyes or spiritual eyes? But it's like this. Okay, so I was observing the entire history of the Earth in a sort of cyclical film reel like fashion. However, that's not really the correct description, because it wasn't cycling. It was, what are those things called? Okay, imagine a circle, and inside is a circle, and inside that is a circle, and inside that are smaller circles, smaller and smaller and smaller, okay? And all of these circles, they're moving in every direction imaginable. And you can't distinguish between where it begins and where it ends. And you're observing this film, this book, and it's happening all at once. And you're trying to pinpoint a beginning, and there is none. Because it's all oscillating at the same time. There's no reference point to where it began. And that's where we are. We're in a place that has always been. It's just recreating and changing form all the time, forever and ever and ever. But it's the same thing moving about forever and ever and ever. So at what point in that forever did the devil go like, hey, this thing that's been here forever, I'm gonna change it? Okay. I guess that maybe, but it's always changing on its own already. There's constantly creation and recreation taking place. And there's, the birthing of new souls endlessly, forever and ever and infinitely. And the creation of new earths forever and ever and ever. So, but it's all at once. If you're in the highest realms, you could observe all that process, all those processes taking place in a single moment. And so you're observing the single moment and every conceivable thing that's happening, and you're the devil, right? You're Satan. What do you tell yourself? You're rebelling against something that already exists. You see my problem here. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Because I need some answers here. I need some discussion. Hey, Texas Danny, hanging in there, Mackenzie? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I get it. For sure. I'm just like in the devil conundrum right now. And then the act of the rebellion itself. Okay, so everything in existence is made of thought and energy. So the devil has thoughts, right? He has a mind, he has free will, and I believe he does. He has free will, right? So, or at least the illusion of it. I'm not so sure about free will, honestly, actually. And he's making a choice to rebel, and those thoughts come into his mind to make that choice, and the origin of those thoughts are from the source. So let's say that it happened exactly like we've been told all our lives, that we have the devil and he rebelled against God. And God could have easily stopped his rebellion, could he not? I mean, I'm just saying, like, I guess there is something there because, okay, he admires our free will to such a degree, but then again, those thoughts themselves, the origin of the rebellious thoughts is where I'm having trouble understanding why they entered his brain, or angelic brain, or whatever it is they do over there, and that to unfold. Does anybody understand what I'm trying to say? Processing? Yeah, I'm processing too. So, my point is that those thoughts of rebellion existed within eternity forever. Part of God. They can't not be. So if he didn't have access to that line of thinking, he couldn't have rebelled. But I guess that's where the duality of it comes in, right? And I can only assume that duality is just part of existence. It's just part of reality, and it's part of that endless cycle. And he makes you wonder, what sort of existence are we in? Where God is like trying to it's like, is he trying to solve the puzzle of duality? Is God trying to solve that puzzle of his own dualistic nature? Because it could only have originated from God. Because everything is God and there's nothing that's not. So, Satan, let's say it's true, and Osiris, an archetype, a character of Satan, I believe. Say that this actually took place. First of all, it could easily be solved, right? He could just, I don't know, imprison, I don't know, do something, right? But second of all, I think God allows it to unfold as sort of like a lab experiment. I don't know how else to put it. I know that's a stupid way of saying it. Like, is it like a lab experiment where, like, I just think that there's this like obsession of observing duality, like within the highest realms. I think that these really high level beings that are close to the source and the source itself have this weird obsession with observing duality, and they're trying to solve a puzzle within the duality to maybe rebalance it or maybe overcome it entirely. But how could that happen? It's just part of eternity. It's always been. It's always been. So how could something be solved if it's always been in existence? Is this too much? Like, am I just going way too far out there? If I am, then sorry, but I just think that existence, just because I've said this before, guys, a lot of like atheists and secular people and materialists say, well, it's boring, just God created everything. And I even heard, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson being bored with the idea of God. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, God is the biggest enigma in existence. What the hell are you talking about? Boring. Like, it's an unsolvable problem. God is an unsolvable, infinite problem. It's like a math equation that will never be solved, impossible to solve. And he thinks it's boring? There's an excitement there with never being able to solve the issue. Like I said this before, ladies and gentlemen, on my channel before, I said it many times, I don't think God knows why existence exists. I know that's a really, what do you call it? That's a really like out there thing to say. I get that. It's a really like, what's that word? It's an arrogant thing to say. Okay, it is. Like, who are you telling God what he knows or doesn't know? It's not, that's what I personally believe. It doesn't mean it's true. That's just how I feel. Okay. So I feel like the eternal now does not know the reason for its existence. I just feel that to be the case. And it's endlessly solving an unsolvable enigma. And the devil, the duality, is part of that puzzle. It's part of his dark nature, the dark eternal nature as well as the light eternal nature. It's uncomfortable for people, and for me too, to realize that even the darkness has to be part of God. But it doesn't mean that we have to be in that darkness, right? It doesn't mean that, like, you could still end up in hell, in a hellish realm. You could still be in a very dark place. It doesn't mean it's a good idea to go there just because it's part of God, because it's a really terrible place to be in. I'm just saying that it's still part of the whole. And it has to be. It just can't not be. Neil deGrasse Tyson needs a girlfriend? Wait. How do you know that you know him well enough to know if he has a girlfriend or not? I saw that guy before in person in New York at the planetarium. He like hung out there when I went on a field trip when I lived there in school. He would like literally just hang out at the Natural History Museum and talk to kids. I mean, he's really nice. He's cool. I don't have anything against him. Speaking of arrogance, actually, he seems like he's really arrogant. So, Max, hi. Maybe Tyson is bored with the idea of God and more prone towards the notion of ordinary advanced intelligence. Intelligence being responsible for everything we experience. But what is ordinary about intelligence, though? That's the thing. I mean, I understand how the idea of God can be boring, of course. Religious gods are boring as hell, no doubt about it. I'm talking about the source of all that is. I'm not talking about, a generic definition of God. To me, God is all of creation. It's all of creation, all that ever was and ever will be. Have to see dark. Yeah, I mean, yes. That's what I was saying in my video yesterday. Yeah, so it's like this sort of sifting through the dirt process to come out on the other side to reunite with the light, to enjoy it that much more. There's like some sort of really intense obsession with this process, I think, where souls who incarnate just have this overwhelming desire to do just that. And, you know, I can see why. I mean, we got a big freight train coming now. What am I going to do? Well, I guess still like a minute away. Yeah. Um, but it's still troubling, though. You know what I mean? Because the darkness is so dark. It's so evil. I just. Oh, it's not a freight train. Never mind. I think we're okay. Yeah. Well, even if like it's like whatever your belief is, I mean, there's a certain absurdity to everything. If you think that life is totally an accident and one in a quadrillion chance we're somehow here, that is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. But so is God. So I have some good news. Both are ridiculous because so is existence. So, you know what? I think the materialists and the people who believe in creation should really be more friendly, because they should both laugh instead of scream at each other and realize that it's all absurd. You know what? I think so. Somebody's saying something. Puppet, Pangreedy? Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize you were here, Pangreedy. How you doing? How you doing? Man. Yeah, I'm not like trying to sit here and say like I'm in love with the darkness or something, because I'm just as horrified as everyone else is. I mean, like, I guess, I don't know. What are your thoughts? I need a minute to like kind of process my brain right now. I'm doing all right. Doing all right, thanks. Just, you know, helped some friends earlier today with some repairing tables and things, and now I'm here, and then I go home, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, so, okay, Mackenzie, you said you have to see dark in order to see light. And the existence of that darkness, I really believe, is part of the unsolvable enigma. The reason it even exists at all. Like, there must be some sort of a chasm in energy. I don't know how else to put it. There must be some sort of repulsion taking place between light and dark energy, and they're like always repelling and constantly at odds with each other. Meaning, like, let's say that the eternal light, let's say God is the eternal light, and he's sort of repelling in an eternal dark, and they're just sort of like duking it out with each other endlessly. And this is a process that has always been ongoing. It has never began. It's just part of the nature of existence itself, where you have this sort of opposing forces at odds with one another. And but yet at the same time there's a dilemma, because they're part of the same thing too. They're not separate at all. They're not separate, okay? I don't believe they are. They are still all part of the whole. A state of depravity helps one focus on what's wholesome. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're entering a time of, I don't know, we're going to see. I think we're going to hate the darkness even more in the coming years. I'll just say that. Okay. I don't want to say any more or jinx it, but it's not looking good at all. At all. So, okay, Mr. Piano said something. Getting back to your devil question, I don't have an answer, but Jesus has a quote, something like those things must come like it, those things must come like it has to. What if we never knew any evil and maybe it makes us super smart? Maybe it's just something we've been taught. So those things must come. Yeah. Yeah, and then like even when Jesus was on a cross and he dies and he says, "It is finished." Like, it's meant to be. Like there's nothing that could have stopped him, right? Like nothing that could have stopped him. So, and what's done is done, basically. So, um, maybe it's just something we have been taught. Agreed, I'm not sure where it is going. Yeah, I'm sure where it is going either. It's just not. It's just not going good at all. I'm sorry, it's just not. uh, so yeah, so it makes us super smart. Getting back to DiCello. So if we never knew evil, you would think we'd be less intelligent. Is what you're saying? Because that might not necessarily be the case at all. I mean, because evil often is associated with ignorance, right? So people who are ignorant commit evil deeds generally, right? Like criminals. I don't know. Like I'm just giving out generic examples, but like ignorance is associated with evil, is what I'm trying to say. So, and it's associated with blindness, right? People being unable to see truth. So I don't know if it would probably, if anything, it makes someone less intelligent to encounter that darkness. But I guess it also depends on the situation, because there's some really smart evil mofos. There's some really smart ones like George Soros and Henry Kissinger, and some really smart ones. So it's not unless there's a surprise. Yeah, surprise birthing of the sun gods. Yeah, I'm mystified by this devil thing, guys, because it's been so ingrained in our psyche, the idea of a devil, right? And for thousands of years, that there can't not be some truth to it because of how prevalent it is within our existence. There has to be something real about it. And I believe that there is, and it's a really big puzzle that I just can't solve. I don't think anybody can solve. Of course, unless, you think we're a big cosmic accident and this is meaningless, but that would make no sense whatsoever, because it's proven time and time again, over and over, almost on a daily basis now, that it's impossible for that to be the case, with endless synchronicities and visions and experiences and all these things happening. There is a meaning and purpose to all of it and everything that we do. So I'm sorry, but I'm not a random accident, and neither are you. Our development might have been random. There could have been random elements that have been inserted, like in the unfolding of this particular universe to sort of bring about the cycle of, endless variation and possibilities, of course. But ultimately, there still is no randomness in the ultimate reality. It's all just one. So, I don't know. Existence is difficult. Or maybe we make it difficult, but it shouldn't be. A red-tailed hawk is flying. Most evil ones are pretty intelligent. Yeah, that's true. Red-tailed hawk is flying around. Cool. We have a lot of birds here too, like way more than usual. And a lot of bunnies. Man, these bunnies are just... I really want to pet one. They never let me, and it's so disappointing. They think I'm going to harm it, I just want to pick up the bunny and... See the bunny? Nah, you probably can't see it, but there's a bunny right there. All right. Anyway, so DiCello Piano says, perhaps we get to heaven, God will know for sure. No one there will ever try another takeover for the throne ever again, no matter how big of a crew they have, or their position won't matter. Okay, so you're implying that this Satan character try to take over God's throne? I don't know if that's the case, because I think even Satan knows that that's like impossible, basically. God is just God, and how are you going to take over all that is? But yeah, let's say it's all true. Let's say it is like, yeah, your creations are too fluffy and boring. I want some action, okay, that's just part of existence. But yeah, there are constant. I think if he really did create the darkness, he's gonna face consequences for that. Okay, first he's gonna see all the effects that it had, and he's gonna feel all the pain that his creation felt. It's gonna reflect back on him too, because that's just how reality works. Like, everything affects each other, affects one another, and I think he knows that there's no escaping that. Maybe he's trying, but again, it still makes no sense to me, because I think that we're gonna reach that stage of spiritual evolution to where we participate more overtly in creation too. So would that make us devil characters, or Satan, or rebelling against God? Or like, what exactly does a rebellion constitute? Because I don't think it's just duality alone, because duality is just the nature of eternity. So what exactly is the rebellion? That's what I'm confused about. Just wanting more pride and power? Why? Why would you want more pride and power when you know that all there is this eternal now? That's it. That's all that's ever been. That's all that's ever was. That's all that's ever will be. And here you are, you're the devil. You're like, I want more than that. It makes no sense. You're already in it. You're already in the everything. Okay, you want to create some crazy stuff? Sure. But you're going to face the consequences of all the pain you caused. Just keep that in mind. So is that what it is? Is it war? Is it pain? Is it separation of the illusion of separation from God? What is it that he rebelled against and he created that is so out of the ordinary from which again makes no sense, because eternity has eternity in it. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. You see how we're in an endless loop? We're in an endless loop. Like, this is not something that can be solved. I don't think. Like, it's just it's almost comical, I think, like, I'm going to go for 5 more minutes. Ignorance is bliss. Oh, the ego, Mackenzie says. That's pretty interesting. I guess the ego, yeah. Or the idea of the separated self, right? Where if there was unity, then now there is disunity, where we all think we're separated, right? But well, it's just a total illusion. But again, I believe duality is part of existence. So ego is part of that duality, and it's like we're like in then just going in circles. Ignorance definitely can be bliss, but ignorance could be really painful too. Texas Danny, it could also be very painful. It just depends on the situation. Something is missing from that story. Yeah, yeah, yes. This is the whole point of this podcast. Okay? You just hit the nail on the head, Pink Greedy. Something is missing in that story that we just can't seem to get. There's just something that doesn't make sense. And when I asked that question in church as a kid, I got the weirdest faces you will ever see. And people were answer me, of course. Well, what are they going to answer? I just remember, Sunday school, something like I go there and they talk about Lucifer and him being this beautiful angel making amazing music. And then one day he just gets pissed off. It's like, this is all boring. And I just want to see cowboys shooting each other and, like asteroids and things blowing up and nuclear bombs, man. That's cool, yo. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want to play the liar in heaven forever. Like, I'm like, come on. I'm like, okay. Like, sure, is that what happened? I'm not sure. That doesn't sound right, though. That doesn't sound right. I got in trouble too. Not just in church, but like these organizations. There was times when I was it wasn't even a church. These places were more like cults. Like I made videos about them. I would have to go pretty deep back into the list, but these organizations I was part of like a long time ago, and I would ask about the Old Testament and why all the bloodshed and all the loot, plunder, and pillaging, and how God told them to kill all these people. And they're like, hey, don't ask that question, They always wanted me to focus on the New Testament, but I always focused on the Old Testament and read all the blood and guts and horror, which is a lot of the Old Testament. And I would just like carefully read page after page, like, hey, like they took her outside the city gates and stoned her for some dumb crap. Like they stoned this poor girl to death. Why is that okay? It doesn't even have to be humans. Whoever said it was okay to sacrifice a lamb or a goat? I mean, yes, we eat animals. I get that. But like, it's a blood sacrifice to God. Yes, it is. Sure. To Osiris, it is. The green lizard. He loves the blood. With Lilith, they love that blood for some reason so much. And that's the god they're sacrificing to, most likely. All right, guys. You asked too many questions, and you're yeah. Me too. Well, it's good to have questions. It's super boring not to ask them and just like go along with what everybody says. Yes, sir. Whatever you want me to believe in, and just like sit there like a little puppy dog all your life, never asking anything. I don't think the real God wants that. He wants action, right? It's not just the devil that likes a show. I guess it's God too, right? He wants to watch an interesting drama unfold. How is it an interesting drama if you just sit there in your little Like, and you just sit there and, that's it. That's your life. Nah, you got to make it interesting. Andre, hi. How you doing? I believe endless loop can be solved when you're in neutrality. If you go to heaven, you'll be bored soon and decide to reincarnate back. I was not, Andre, I was so far from bored in heaven. I will tell you that it was the most amazing bliss and unity and fun. It was fun. It was so far from boring. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. How it felt like, imagine not seeing your old friends for 20 million years, and then you go there and you have the best reunion in the whole universe. And it's like this amazing bliss that's just indescribable. You never want to leave. No, I would not want to like, after I saw that, reincarnation to me just sounds silly, but I know I will eventually. I mean, on some planet, just not here. I'm not here. No, no. After reading about all the medieval torture and the Mexican drug cartels and the endless war and bombs and shootings, dude, nope. Maybe the devil likes that, but I'm not okay with that. I think that's not cool. So next planet's going to be somewhere a little bit more tame. Yeah, maybe we're being punished. I don't know. Eternal bliss is never boring. No, it wasn't boring. I'm saying it was not boring at all. Like, it was just, it was indescribable. I can't even, there's no words to even put it. That sense of unity you had with all the other souls there. It was indescribable bliss. But I'm gonna head out, guys, in a minute here. I gotta go do something. But I know what you're trying to say, Andre, though. I don't know if the endless loop could ever be solved, because, like, if it's solved, then God would, like, cease to exist, right? I think, which is impossible. So, like, the endless loop has to endlessly loop forever, I guess. And then the devil's there. All right, I'm gonna go, everyone. Bye.